This meeting is being recorded.
There it is. All right.
There it is.
So let me, I guess we want to let me, maximize my screen. That's what it's called. There we go. Well, hello, I'm here with Matt Buchan, and he has generously reached out to me about a program that he is offering to a lot of his businesses he knows, and a lot of small business relief that gave me an overview last week, and wanted to just give you an overview, both as the board of the Clintonville Area Business Association and the businesses that operate in the Clintonville area that could also benefit for this. So hopefully you find this video useful and potentially could be a program that you could potentially utilize and get some money, some grant money from the government, much like the PPP loans that were available a few years back now. And Matt, tell us a little bit about it and how these businesses could use it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on, Ryan. So my name is Matt Buchan with Exact Benefits, and I've been helping out businesses here locally as well as nationally. This is not something that's just only tied to this small area, but with this employee retention credit. So quick background of it, I'll try to be brief here, but it came about the same act as the CARES Act. So the same act that the PPP loans were passed, the ERC was also rolled out. But at the time, the ERC was not very easy to qualify for, and the PPP was way more friendly for business owners. So about 99% of businesses went after that money, and as a result, through that process, the ERC was just very, very overlooked. We all know what kind of ended up happening, right? PPP loans dried up pretty quickly after the first couple of rounds of that, and the government actually passed a law for the ERC for $400 billion. And, they realized that nobody was really going after this money. So they were kind of scratching their head. And basically what happened is they realized they made it too strict. In fact, when it first got rolled out, you had to show a drop of your revenue about 50%, right? So most businesses didn't have a 50% reduction. So that all got changed in 2021. And now they allow businesses to first off qualify for both the PPP and the ERC, which is the biggest thing because a lot of companies, most companies did the PPP loans. Additionally, they made it a lot easier to qualify for those funds, which I'll get into qualification here in a second. But it allows businesses that need the money, that need the help, that were affected by COVID, to be able to get that extra help, which is huge. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the funds, was to go support local and small businesses, anything that's under 500 employees. So that's a little bit about what it is. This is really the last government stimulus that's available. There's really no other package that's out there. So, we are expecting, it's hard to say exactly because right now it's still kind of a blank check, but we're expecting the funds to probably be dried up within the next 12 to 18 months. So it's something that we really encourage businesses to not delay on. And even if you looked at it, maybe when it first got rolled out, it's definitely worth consideration to look at it again and to not disqualify yourself, because there's a lot of different ways that you can qualify. So as far as how much a business can receive, I'll kind of jump there. 2020, a business can receive $5,000 per employee for the whole year of 2020, right? So not quite as much as what it is for 2021, where it only qualifies for the first 3 quarters, but you can get $7,000 per quarter for quarters 1, 2, and 3 of 2021. So in total, we're talking about $26,000 per W-2 employee. We find it pretty rare where businesses will qualify for both 2020 and all of 2021, but there's certainly businesses out there that can qualify for that. So it's a pretty substantial amount of money. You have 100 employees, you're looking at a approximate refund of $2.6 million, right? So on average, we've been able to, working with our CPAs in our group who really specialize in this area, we're averaging in the ballpark of about $15,000 to $17,000 per W-2 employee, which can be really, really nice for these businesses. So any questions so far?
No, that's just crazy. So now this is all for W-2 people who have W-2 employees on staff and things like that. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So essentially view this as something that's, they use the word credit, employee retention credit. I like to use the word reward, right? So these business owners that had a W-2 employee, if they pay payroll taxes, then they are essentially getting rewarded for retaining employees. Now, a lot of businesses didn't retain all their employees, and that's okay too. You can still qualify even if a person was part-time, full-time, or didn't even work the full quarter. So there's a lot of creative ways around it. Now, a couple of quick notes is that you cannot use the PPP and the ERC in the same quarter. So if all your funds got applied to pay payroll for that quarter, there's different ways of, they have to be, it's considered double dipping, right? To receive the both and full amounts of each of those. So that's what our specialists work with, is trying to figure out how you maximize that benefit. And essentially what they're doing is they're going back and they're amending what we call 941, so your quarterly payroll tax returns. And they're amending those to be able to find you this money that's available to you. So regarding qualification, that gets a little bit more into the nitty gritty, right? So the easiest, and I would say your most black and white ways of qualifying is by having a certain amount of gross revenue reduction. Most companies we're finding are not going to qualify strictly only through gross revenue decrease. So again, I said 2020 was 50%, right? Well, 2021 is about a 20% decline. So if you can show that versus 2019 that your revenue dropped 20% in 2021 versus 19, they use 19 as the benchmark, then that would be a way that you would qualify for the gross receipts test, is what we like to call it. So that's just one way out of several that you can qualify. So if you were hit pretty hard financially during COVID, then that can be a great opportunity for you to qualify through that. I will tell you that that's also a pretty complex calculation. It's not as simple as just comparing the 19 versus 2021. There's a couple other ways of doing the gross receipts test that you can use that we've been having a lot of success with as well. Additionally, most every company was affected to some capacity by either a semi or a full shutdown, at least in 2020. They were required to maybe reduce capacity, or they had to social distance, or they had enhanced cleaning measures, right, due to a partial or government mandated order. That's also a secondary test. It doesn't have to be gross receipts and a government shutdown, right? It could just be one or the other, and that's another way of qualifying as well. And then, lastly is like if you've had supply chain issues, that's a lot of companies have had issues getting raw materials, construction companies, restaurants, you name it. Most companies are going to get approved for this ERC based on one way or another. That can be another really, really great way of utilizing that. So if you had more than what they call a nominal rate, a 10% rate of your normal disruption flow, then that's another way. So I've had success. For instance, I'll give you a couple of just tangible examples here. I had success with my church, right? So my church didn't have a reduction of giving, thankfully, right? But they had a little bit of a reduction, but not to meet the gross receipts test. But they did have a major disruption in their business and their workflow, right? They had to go to virtual services. They had to do social distancing. So those are all qualifiers of what can help people. So my encouragement is, let us help you with that process. If you guys have businesses in your organization that can benefit for something like this, the great part about it is that there's no cost to the business. Well, I shouldn't say there's no upfront cost to the business, right? So we're going to do all that front end work for you and figure out if you qualify or not, basically scrubbing that for free. And you would retain 85% of whatever is found. And then the company, the CPA firm that we use, would keep 15% of that number. So in other words, we don't get paid unless you get paid, right? So we're going to help you do throughout that process. We would then come to you with the amount that you're eligible for. And then we'd also help you with all the refiling of those things, right? So you really are hands off, except for sending us that initial documentation, which is really not a whole lot of information to be able to get you qualified for it.
Yeah, it's great. I appreciate all that information. It's super helpful. The best part is that, if you think you qualify, you might as well just give it a try, because there's nothing, you're not out anything. And worst case scenario, they tell you don't. So
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. So just a reminder, you probably reiterate this, but the PPP loans, I personally did the PPP loan myself. I'm a 1099 employee, so unfortunately I don't qualify for this. But just like the PPP loan, there's a lot of questions about, is this really forgivable? It's not a loan, it's a grant, correct?
So I don't like to use the word grant because usually grant implies that it has to be used for a certain purpose. That's what's unique about this is
Okay.
that this
Yeah.
is a refund of paying payroll taxes,
Okay.
and there's no exact purpose that you have to use those proceeds for.
Yeah, the PPP
So
loan.
I wouldn't even call it a grant. It's stimulus money that's available for these business owners that did their payroll and paid their employees.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember the PPP loans. They call them PPP loans. The loan part of it was super. Everyone panicked because it's a loan and not a. I was told it was like a grant that had to be used towards payroll. So it's I like the way a gift or a refund would be the best way to describe it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the best way of saying it's a refundable tax credit. So it's a great thing to tap into. And again, a lot of the businesses that I've been meeting with personally, they checked into it a year ago, 2 years ago, and they said, oh well, this isn't really worth my time, energy. Well, once they changed the numbers around, where now we're getting businesses $500 million, like that's real money that really goes to help. A couple of success stories is helping a pizza shop here locally get about $260,000.
Yeah.
And, they just turned around and said, well, now I have this seed money to be able to, maybe open up another shop and hire another 15 employees. And that's kind of the whole purpose of this, is to kind of help stimulate the economy. Now, it does have to be under 500 W-2 employees. I'm assuming most of your businesses in the Chamber of Commerce would be that. But it is for small to medium-sized businesses. So if you have over 500, then you wouldn't qualify for that. But as far as the process, we have a really streamlined flow where we could send you guys a link. You can actually plug in your own information if you're a business owner. And immediately on the spot, takes about 10 minutes, you're going to get an answer for whether they think you're going to qualify based off your responses to the questions.
Wow.
There's no initial documentation that's required just to check to see if you qualify. But then after they come out with an estimate for you, then you are required to send in some documentation for that, including some PPP information, sending in your 941s, et cetera. And then they're going to scrub that data and then get you a firm answer. In fact, business came through on Friday as a dental staffing agency. Sent their documentation on Friday, did the test on Friday, and then this morning, they got approved for $250,000. So it can happen right now. The turnaround time is pretty fast. You're talking about 3 to 5 business days usually, and we'll have an answer if you get approved or not.
Well, that's great. That's awesome. So yeah, well, I can't think of any questions off the top of my head right now. I'm sure I'll have more down the road, but how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I can provide my email and my phone number, I guess, on this. Also, obviously, connect with Ryan here. And then I'll go ahead and share with Ryan my personal link. I mentioned if you want to check your business, or if you have any connections or affiliations, just forward the link on, and then they can check for themselves. And then, since we're kind of gearing this towards the chamber here, this is going to be a great opportunity for the chamber to be able to maybe make a little bit of money too, through just this referral system as well. So it'd help the chamber with being able to raise some funds, right, through also being able to help the businesses that you guys serve as well. So it's a win-win for everybody involved.
That's great. Well, I appreciate your time, Matt. Look forward to working with you alongside here, but also just thank you for reaching out and helping these businesses. I think this is a great opportunity for these small businesses to take advantage of a program that's out there for them that frankly a lot of people just don't know about. So thank you for your work, and hopefully we can help these small businesses and get it in the Clintonville, Columbus area as well, and before everyone else gets it. So
awesome. Sounds good. Well, thanks for having me on, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Have a great day.
All right.